I always imagined passing my wedding dress down to a daughter someday, or maybe even just keeping it tucked away, a reminder of one of the few days that had ever felt like mine. Instead, I watched it unravel in the drum of a washing machine. Soap bubbles clouded the delicate lace like froth over a drowning body. The worst part? She smiled when she did it. My sister-in-law, Brianna, with her signature red nails, matching yoga set, and a kind of hollow sweetness that always smelled faintly of manipulation. "Oh no, Hailey," she gasped, hand over her heart like some bad Southern soap character. "I thought it was just another dress. You really shouldn't leave stuff like that in the laundry room." Except I hadn't. I'd stored my wedding dress in a garment bag, inside a sealed bin, in our guest room closet. There was a sign on it, handwritten in permanent marker, "Do not open." Hailey's wedding dress. She had to dig to find it. She had to unzip the bag, unclip the hanger, walk it down a hallway, lift the lid of the washer. That wasn't an accident. That was a choice. And Brianna? She was full of them. We'd been living with her for 2 months, while our condo underwent extensive repairs from a burst pipe. My husband Matt had insisted it would be just a few weeks, that Brianna had the space, that she was family. I had my doubts. Brianna always played the perfect host on the surface. Matching coasters, artisanal olive oil, fresh eucalyptus in every bathroom. But the cracks showed if you stayed long enough. Small, unspoken rules. Comments that sounded helpful, but cut deep. Like, "It must be hard not having your own home," when I set down a mug without a coaster. Or, "You're so brave for not touching up your roots yet," when I mentioned skipping a salon appointment. Matt never seemed to notice. He saw his sister through the same lens he always had. The cool older sister who helped him sneak out to parties in high school, who always bailed him out with a smile. He never asked why she'd been divorced twice by 35 or why she didn't speak to their own mother anymore. "She's just got opinions," he said once after Brianna accidentally served me shrimp despite knowing about my allergy. "You know how she is."
Yeah.
I did. And yet, somehow, I kept trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. Until the day I came home early from work to find the washing machine on an extra long cycle and the faint outline of lace pressed against the porthole glass. I opened the lid before it finished. The dress sagged inside, soaked and twisted. Beads snapped. Seams pulled. The hem, once perfectly preserved, was now tattered, stained with blue dye from something Brianna had tossed in with it. "Oh my God," I whispered, pulling it out. The fabric sloshed against the floor like seaweed, heavy with ruin. And then, from the kitchen, "Oops. I should have told you. I thought it was one of those fast fashion pieces you said you don't care about." She didn't even look up from her phone. I stood there, holding what used to be my dream dress, my hands shaking as water dripped onto my socks. That night, Matt asked if it could be repaired. He even Googled dry cleaners. "Maybe there's some restoration service," he offered, eyes hopeful, oblivious. But I just stared at the photos I'd taken. The damage wasn't just physical. It was intentional, personal. And that's when I remembered the nanny cam. Not for kids. For our dog. A tiny black cube we'd set up in the guest room when we first arrived, after Brianna's dog accidentally nipped ours. I'd almost forgotten it was there. But Brianna hadn't. Because 3 days before the dress incident, I'd moved the bin from under the guest bed to the top of the closet, and the camera's little green light faced the door. As I opened the app and clicked on the motion-triggered recordings, one thumbnail stood out. Timestamp: Thursday, 2:43 p.m. Length: 3 minutes and 12 seconds. As I hit play, I felt something slow and electric crawl through my chest. Because Brianna hadn't just trashed my wedding dress. She'd looked into the camera.
And winked.
I must have watched that clip 10 times before Matt got home. The first time was pure shock. The second, disbelief. By the fifth, it was something else entirely. Not rage. Not sadness. Something colder. Quieter. Like steel cooling into place. The footage was simple.
No audio.
Just Brianna walking into the guest room, her hair pulled back, a tight smile on her face. She opened the closet, took down the bin, unzipped the garment bag, and pulled out my dress like she was handling a piece of trash. She didn't hesitate, didn't flinch, just slung it over her arm, turned to the camera, and winked. Not playfully, not accidentally. It was the smirk that did it, that smug little curl of her lip, like this was just another round in a game only she knew she was playing. She knew the camera was there.
She wanted me to see.
It wasn't about the dress. It was about power. Matt came home carrying groceries, humming like it was any other Tuesday. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shove the phone in his face. But instead, I said nothing. Just smiled, took the bag from his hand, and helped him unpack. Because I needed time. Brianna had made a mistake. She thought she'd won. That I would cry, maybe argue with Matt, maybe even move out early. She never expected me to document.
To wait. To plan.
2 days later, I told Matt I was spending the weekend with my friend Kara in the city. He kissed my cheek, told me to have fun. Brianna smiled from her place at the kitchen island, sipping a turmeric smoothie like she was on the cover of a lifestyle blog. "Take all the time you need, sweetie," she said. I took the dress with me, wrapped in a trash bag. Not because it was trash, but because I couldn't stand to look at it anymore. Kara helped me lay it out on her guest bed. Her face twisted as she ran a hand over the frayed edges and destroyed beading. "This was deliberate," she said quietly. "She wanted to hurt you." I nodded. "I just need proof. Real proof. The video's good, but I want context."
Motive.
Pattern. Kara looked at me, her brows rising. "You're not just trying to prove this to Matt, are you?" I didn't answer right away. Because no, it wasn't just Matt. It was everyone. Every in-law who made excuses for her. Every brunch where she undercut me with a smile. Every family member who looked confused when I tried to explain why Brianna made me feel small. No more. That weekend, I started compiling. I found old texts, the ones where she accidentally included me in group chats, mocking my wedding decor. Screenshots of her replying "interesting choice" to photos of my engagement ring on social media. The allergy incident. The lost RSVP cards from my side of the family. It wasn't just the dress. It was years. A slow burn campaign dressed in matching dishware and curated playlists. When I returned Sunday night, Brianna was in the living room with Matt, watching one of those dating reality shows she pretended to hate. She looked up and smiled. "Have a nice time?" I smiled back. "Wonderful, actually. Productive."
She tilted her head.
"That's so." I nodded, walking past her to the guest room. "I think this next week is going to be really clarifying for everyone." Her fingers froze around her wine glass. Just a flicker. Just for a second. But I saw it. I didn't go nuclear right away. That would have been too easy. Instead, I began the week with something small. An invitation. "Hey," I said at breakfast. "Kara's husband just got a new projector. She's hosting a little movie night Friday. I told her I'd bring something fun to show before the film. You two should come." Matt looked up from his oatmeal, interested. Brianna glanced over her coffee mug, eyebrows raised. "What kind of fun?" she asked, all sugar and suspicion. "Oh, just a short video," I said lightly. "Something illuminating." I saw her throat tighten as she swallowed, just slightly. Friday came fast. Kara had set everything up in their backyard. Lawn chairs, blankets, string lights, popcorn. There were maybe 10 of us. Some close friends, a couple cousins, Kara's neighbors. Just enough of an audience. Brianna showed up in full performance mode. New blouse, glossy hair, perfect nails. She carried a bottle of wine, and that brittle smile she wore whenever she knew the spotlight might not stay on her. "Can't wait to see this mystery video," she said. Too loud, too bright. Neither could I. We waited until after everyone had a drink in hand, and the sky had gone fully dark. Then Kara dimmed the patio lights, and I stepped forward with the remote in my hand. "Before the movie," I said calmly, "I just wanted to share a little home footage. Something that means a lot to me." The opening frame was Brianna entering the guest room. She froze. The crowd didn't notice right away. It looked mundane at first, a home security clip. But then the dress appeared, and the room went quiet. Everyone watched as Brianna pulled the wedding gown from the bin, laid it over her arm, walked to the door, and winked. The moment landed like a dropped glass. I heard someone near the back mutter, "What the hell?" Brianna let out a sharp laugh, too loud, too forced. "Okay, wow, Hailey. I see we're making home movies now." "Don't worry," I said. That was just the opener. The screen changed. Screenshots of text threads, RSVP discrepancies, allergy reports, side-by-side posts showing Brianna's subtle digs. A timeline. A pattern. "I know it's not explosive," I said quietly. "But this is how it works, right? When someone tries to break you down little by little, until no one believes you anymore." Matt had gone pale. His hands were clasped between his knees, unmoving. "This isn't what it looks like," Brianna said finally, her voice shaking. Kara stood up.
No?
"Because it looks like psychological warfare with a side of bleach." Someone chuckled. It broke the tension for them. Not for Brianna. "You're twisting everything," she snapped. "These are jokes. Old screenshots. Out of context. Like the dress?" I asked softly. "Was that a joke too?" Silence. Then Matt stood. Slowly. "You told me," he said to Brianna. You didn't touch the dress. You said Hailey left it in the laundry room." She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her jaw clenched. "You looked at the camera," he added. "You knew." Her face cracked then, just slightly. "You're blowing this out of proportion," she said. "It's a dress." "No," I said. "It was a boundary. One of many. And you broke it on purpose." The screen behind me went dark. I hadn't brought the evidence to humiliate her. Not exactly. But I had wanted the truth to have witnesses. Not because I needed a mob, but because silence was how she'd thrived. She didn't speak as she left. Didn't slam a door. Didn't make a scene. She just walked out into the night, the clip of her wink still etched into the back of everyone's minds. The next morning, the house was quiet. Matt hadn't said much after the video. We drove home in near silence, his hands white-knuckled on the steering wheel. I didn't push him. I didn't need to. Brianna's car was gone.
Just like that.
She hadn't left a note. No text. Just an empty guest room that smelled faintly of her expensive candles and something sour underneath, like flowers left too long in a vase. By mid-afternoon, Matt finally spoke. "She's done this before," he said, staring at the coffee in his mug like it might hold answers. "Manipulated people. Cut off friends. Made things up about our mom after their fight." I stayed quiet. He rubbed a hand down his face. "I always thought she was just trying to protect me. That if she was harsh to others, it meant she cared." He looked up at me, guilt swimming behind his eyes. "I'm sorry." Not just for what happened. For every time he hadn't seen it. I nodded. "I know."
We didn't talk much more that day.
Sometimes, when trust cracks, you have to let silence do the stitching. A week later, a letter arrived. Not a text. Not an email. A real letter, handwritten in looping cursive, postmarked from a retreat center in upstate New York. "Dear Hailey, you got what you wanted. Everyone knows now. Matt won't talk to me. Dad called me a disgrace. I'm apparently the villain now. But for what it's worth, the dress wasn't the point. It was what you represent. How you walked into this family and made everyone love you without even trying. How you made Matt grow up. How you made me feel replaceable. I'm not asking for forgiveness. But maybe I needed to be seen, even if it was as the bad guy. Don't worry. I won't come back. I've finally got the message. Brianna." I folded the letter and placed it in the back of my journal. Not for keepsakes. For closure. 3 months later, our condo was finally ready. When we moved back in, I bought a new dress box. Not to store what was left, but to hold the photographs, the original sketches, and a copy of the video. Not out of bitterness, but because someday if I have a daughter and she asks what strength looks like, I'll show her. It looks like knowing the difference between keeping the peace and protecting your dignity. It looks like knowing when to wait, when to speak, and when to press play. Matt never asked me to delete the footage. I never offered. Sometimes the wound isn't the ruined dress, but the years of looking past the person holding the scissors. And sometimes the healing isn't loud. It's just knowing you saw what you saw. You saved the proof. And you walked away whole.